Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and on today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about my last appointment with my fertility specialist and what our plans are moving forward. So if you watched my first video, just kind of giving you an overview of what we've done up to this point, then you knew that I had an ultrasound, saline infused ultrasound this week, and a meeting with my doctor to kind of talk about a comprehensive treatment plan. If you haven't seen my first video, I'll link it up somewhere up here in the cards so you can go back and watch that. Just kind of gives an overview of what we've done up to now and kind of what we were expecting moving forward. So just this last week on Tuesday, I had my Saline Infused Ultrasound, which if you're not familiar with that, just to kind of give you some background on why I had to have the ultrasound, during my initial transvaginal ultrasound at the first appointment that we went to, my doctor was pretty sure that he saw a uterine polyp. So we went in, he had to do a little bit more of an advanced ultrasound, and the saline infused ultrasound has to be performed at a certain point in your cycle. So ideally, according to my doctor, days 6 through 12. So when you're past the active bleeding, but before your uterine lining starts to thicken, so that they can see everything, kind of keeping your uterine lining thin. So I had a cycle in December and called to schedule my ultrasound, and everyone was out for the holidays. So just kind of went about my business. During that time, my nurse put me on a birth control pill, just ideally keeping my uterine lining pretty thin until the ultrasound, which we scheduled for January 15th. And the reason for doing that is because I hadn't had a cycle previous in 100 days. So I wasn't sure I was going to have another period before January 15th. And it was really important that my uterine lining was still really thin. So she put me on the birth control, and I took that and actually had 2 periods after that. I had one because I forgot my birth control. I wasn't used to taking it and had left it at home over the holidays. I'd gone to visit some family, took it, had been taking it continuously. They told me just to take the active pills, not to take the inactive pills. And I still ended up having a cycle on the birth control. So that cycle started just a few days before my ultrasound was originally scheduled. So we had to push the ultrasound twice to ensure that I wasn't actively bleeding when we had the ultrasound. So we went in on Tuesday, I cannot remember the date, January 30th, and had the ultrasound. And the doctor that did the ultrasound is not my doctor. She is a partner at the fertility clinic that I'm being seen at, but she is not my physician. So we went in and met her. She was super, super friendly, really thorough, explained a lot of stuff, and was really just, she had a really good bedside manner. I don't really know how else to explain it. So I will insert some footage of the ultrasound here.
So the black is the fluid that we're putting in.
Okay.
And that's separating the edges of the uterus.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it should all be black. Do you see that little area right there? It looks like almost like a little finger projecting in.
Yep.
That's a polyp.
Fun.
There, it's easily treated, but that's what Dr. Butler was worried about. And we'll make some measurements.
It's okay. I feel it, but yeah.
No surprises. I mean, this is. I'm just going to take a couple more pictures and then we'll be done. Okay. You're doing great.
So you get to stay on the birth control pills.
Yay!
And on that ultrasound, we did see a uterine polyp. So you saw that in the footage that there is a uterine polyp. It was pretty obvious. She told us that usually she likes to review the results before she shares them with patients, but when it was that glaringly obvious, that she doesn't like to keep that from people. Really, Penny? She doesn't like to keep that from patients, so she did share that with us, which was good. And basically, we just kind of took that information and moved forward with the follow-up appointment. What? The following day. Penny? The next day we went in and met with my doctor, and he pretty much gave us just kind of a comprehensive treatment plan. So he did explain what the other doctor found on the ultrasound, and that I do have a pretty substantial uterine polyp, but he made us feel really comfortable that women have them all the time, and they're not uncommon, they're not harmful. There's no concrete evidence that shows uterine polyps impede on getting pregnant. But he did mention that IVF data supports that uterine polyps aren't exactly ideal, I guess, when you're trying to conceive. So the whole mentality of my doctor's office is, why are we gonna let you pay this money and invest emotionally into trying to become pregnant if we're not making you as healthy as you can be? So that was kind of his goal. So we did schedule surgery, so I am gonna have the polyp removed this upcoming week, and I will go over all of that and what that entails in the next video, in my next video that will go up next weekend. But I will have the polypectomy, and then he also addressed the pituitary microadenoma. So if you remember in my last video, I mentioned that I had to have an MRI because there was some uncertainty about my elevated prolactin levels. So during the follow-up appointment that we went to on Wednesday, he did mention that my microadenoma is very small. It's only 4 by 6 millimeters on the pituitary gland. And since the pituitary gland is kind of like the master gland, anything that goes wrong with it can really affect a lot of other things. So I am taking cabergoline twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to decrease the prolactin, which was suppressing my estrogen. So it's kind of like a domino effect, that once we fix one, we can fix the next, and that will kind of fix the next. So I'm on the cabergoline for 6 weeks, and then we will, I'm on the cabergoline for 5 weeks. He says 6 weeks, but the prescription was only written for 5 weeks. So I'll take that for 5 weeks, and then they're going to recheck my prolactin levels, and if everything looks normal, then we will be on the go for our first practice cycle. So unfortunately, we do have to do 1 round of no insemination, just medication and monitoring, just to be sure that everything's kind of going as is. So as it stands now, I'm still taking the birth control until after my surgery. I go in on Wednesday for my preoperative exam and preoperative labs, and Thursday I will have the polypectomy, and that is just done vaginally through the cervix. There's no incision site, there's no laparoscopic surgery like I had with the last surgery last year. It's just through the cervix, and then they'll just use 1 instrument to remove the polyp that way. Shouldn't be any issues after that. He said that the surgery is extremely low risk, and I should be able to go back to work the very next day. So that will be in next week's video. So if you have any questions about anything that you've seen in this video or last week's video, be sure to leave them down in the comment section. I will link my wife's channel in the description box. She'll be putting up a video in the next couple of days just introducing the series that you'll see over on that channel, just about us getting ready for this. So if the sit down stuff isn't really your bag, then you can check out that over on her channel. That's where you'll see more of the vlog footage, the actual going to the appointments. She's gonna be back posting some things that we had pre-filmed, our first fertility appointment, the ultrasound, so you might see a little bit more of the ultrasound over there on that channel. And like I mentioned, I will link my first video in the cards somewhere so you can watch that if you have not yet seen it. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on channel notifications, just click that little bell. My goal is every week on Sundays. That's kind of the schedule I've set for myself. And if you have any more questions, just let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.